Federal government disbands police special anti-robbery squad, SARS.
All officers and men currently serving in the units are to be deployed with immediate effect.
Rotimi Akeredolu of All Progressives Congress declared winner of Ondo governorship election.
Satisfied the requirements of the law, I hereby declare Rotimi Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the winner and is hereby returned elected.
Kano governor suspends media aid for unguarded utterances against President Buhari on social media.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall review the Ondo governorship election.
And just like the Edo election 3 weeks ago, the Edo election, I beg your pardon, the Ondo 2020 governorship election has come and gone and has been won and lost as well, becoming history and a reference point in the politics of not just the state, but the electoral process in Nigeria.
That's right, Claire. Now, if you recall, we had indicated that it would be a three-horse race. And indeed it was, but a particular horse left the others trailing several miles behind, and that is Rotimi Akeredolu, lady senior advocate of Nigeria of the All Progressives Congress, who polled over 290,000 votes, winning 15 of the 18 local government areas to defeat his closest rival, another learned senior advocate of Nigeria, Tayo Jegede of the People's Democratic Party, who won 3 local government areas. Now, the third in the race was the Deputy Governor Agbola Ajayi of the Zenith Labour Party, who didn't win any local government area, and of course losing his own local government area to his estranged principal, that's to say the governor.
But made a remarkable appearance at the election, Kingsley, indeed. And the winner of the Ondo governorship election, that's talking about Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Rotimi Akeredolu, has been receiving a deluge of congratulatory messages on his re-election. And that of the President Muhammadu Buhari, who rejoiced with the governor-elect, as well as the people of Ondo State for coming out peacefully in their numbers and even defying the reins in some instances to cast their ballot and deepen the democratic process in Nigeria.
Well, as witnessed also in the Edo election, the turnout for the Ondo governorship polls was fair, although compared with the Edo elections, there were higher incidences of ballot rejection or voided votes.
Indeed, Kingsley, and of course we noticed a few pockets of skirmishes here and there, and shootings were also reported in some polling units, but that did not take the shine of the Ondo governorship election, which was largely described by observers as peaceful and fair, thanks again to the ingenuity of the umpire INEC, which has also been commended and resorted to the deployment of technology to send results from polling units to INEC's portal, which can be viewed by the public.
Indeed, that innovation is paying off by gradually and progressively making ballot snatching and stuffing incidents something likely to become history in the nation's electoral process. Perhaps there is still more to be done to tinker with the electoral laws towards addressing other persisting ills such as vote buying and selling, plus thuggery, which serves in some instances to discourage voters from coming out on election day for fear of possible violence.
Indeed, Kingsley, and as for COVID-19, as long as the pandemic, rages on, a lot still needs to be done to achieve physical distancing during elections, which was equally a major challenge in the Ondo, despite appreciable use of face masks, infrared thermometers for temperature checks, and hand sanitizers. Well, we will be having a number of guests on the program this morning to review the Ondo governorship election as part of the commitment of Good Morning Nigeria and indeed the NTA to improve and deepen the electoral process in Nigeria. I am Claire Adilabo Abdul-Razak, welcoming you to the program, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA, and we are broadcasting from the nation's capital, Abuja.
I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Claire to also welcome you to the program. In a moment, of course, we have complimentary segments of the program, including newspaper review. For now, let's take the highlights of the morning news, and here is Nolene Ebelame with the morning news. Good morning, Nolene.
Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the news. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC and Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, has been declared winner of the October 10 governorship election, having secured the highest number of votes. He defeated other 16 candidates to secure his re-election.
Rotimi Akeredolu, male of APC, 292 830 292,830. Rotimi Akeredolu of APC secured the highest number of votes. So consequently, having satisfied the requirements of the law, I hereby declare Rotimi Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the winner and is hereby returned elected.
Meanwhile, the winner of the October 10 governorship election in Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, to be magnanimous in victory for the continuity of good works he started in 2016. He was reacting to the outcome of the election in the state.
I want to thank you, and I can assure you that this confidence you have reposed in us will not be thrown away.
What it means is that when we all work together as a team, we win together. And the real winners at the end of the day are the citizens of Ondo State.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Rotimi Akeredolu SAN on his re-election as governor of Ondo State for another 4-year term. In a statement, the president commends the resounding victory of the governor at the election held, noting that the votes garnered show that one good turn surely deserves another. The president thanked the people of Ondo State for keeping faith with his governor and the All Progressives Congress, noting that the people know the person and party that truly serve them and have spoken in clear voice and unmistakable terms. President Buhari also appreciates the electorate in Ondo State for comporting themselves decently and in order, and for exhibiting conduct that indicates that the country is making progress in its electoral behavior. He also gives kudos to the Independent National Electoral Commission for organizing credible, free and fair election, and to security agencies which ensured that orderliness was enthroned and maintained. The president urges Governor Akeredolu to be humble and magnanimous in victory and serve the people of Ondo State even better than he did in the first term. Talking security now, the Nigeria Police Force has dissolved the special anti-robbery squad across the 36 states of the Federation, police commands and the FCT. The dissolution is in response to the yearnings of the Nigerian people.
The Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigeria Police, otherwise known as SARS, is hereby dissolved across all formations. All officers and men currently serving in the unit are to be deployed with immediate effect. New policing arrangements to address the offenses of armed robbery and other violent crimes that fall within the mandate of the dissolved Special Anti-Robbery Squad shall be presented in due course. A Citizens and Strategic Holders Forum will be formed to regularly interface with the leadership of the police at all levels and advise on police activities.
The All Progressives Congress APC welcomes the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS and views the responsive decision as a major and concrete step towards President Muhammadu Buhari's affirmed resolve to achieve better policing and necessary reforms. In a statement by the party's publicity secretary, Yekini Nabina, the party notes that from the recent #Black Lives Matter social movement to other global clamors for review of police operations, particularly in regards to citizens they are empowered to protect, the need for police reforms in Nigeria is urgent and continues. With benefit of experience and public outcry over the operations of the now disbanded SARS, the APC is confident that the new policing arrangement promised by the Inspector General of Police will balance the need to effectively combat armed robbery, kidnapping and other violent crimes in the country and ensure professional and accountable police operations. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Kano State has suspended his special advisor on media, Salihu Tanko Yakasai, over some unguarded utterances on the person of President Muhammadu Buhari on the social media platform. The State Commissioner for Information, Muhammad Garba, who conveyed the governor's directive in a statement, said the suspension is with immediate effect. He said that though the media aide has earned up the indiscreet comment on his personal opinion, but the governor noted that as a public figure, it will be difficult to differentiate between personal opinion and official stand on matters of public concern. The governor also warned other political appointees and public servants to guard against making statements capable of drawing unnecessary controversy and heating up the polity. And now to update on COVID-19 in Nigeria. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 163 new cases of COVID-19 in 11 states and the FCT. These 163 new cases increased the number of confirmed cases to 60,266 in Nigeria. Lagos has 113, Kaduna 21, Osun 8, Ondo and Oyo recorded 5 each, Ogun 3, Bayelsa and Taraba have 2 new cases each, while Edo, Katsina, Plateau and the FCT have 1 new case each. On the list of cases per state, Lagos remains atop with 20,508 cases. Next is the FCT with 5,806, while Plateau follows with 3,537 total confirmed cases, while active cases nationwide are 7,416. 51,735 recovered patients have been discharged, with 1,115 deaths so far. That's the morning news for now. The program returns with Kinsley and Claire after this break. I am Nolin Ebel Ame.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Yes, that's the painful effect of what corruption costs you. But what does corruption cost us all? Watch Bad Guys on NTA Network, 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. every Wednesday from the Akin Fadeyi Foundation. Bad Guys. Who are the bad guys? Join us.
Candidates who applied for admission into Ahmadu Bello University NTA TV College degree program in mass communication for 2020-2021 academic session are invited to a post-UTME and direct entry screening exercise scheduled as follows. Date: 15th to 17th October 2020. Venue: NTA TV College premises, Rayfield, Jos. Time: 9 a.m. daily. Screening fee: 2,000 naira, paid through the remitter platform in any commercial bank in favor of NTA TV College, Jos. Eligible candidates are those who indicated NTA TV College as their first choice and scored 180 and above in the 2020 UTME examination. Candidates are expected to come along with the originals of their O-level certificates, JAMB slips, birth certificates, indigenship certificate and proof of payment. Direct entry candidates are expected to come along with their original diploma certificates, A-level results in addition to the other credentials mentioned above. Shortlisted candidates without O-level results will not be cleared by JAMB. Therefore, all candidates are advised to visit any JAMB office or accredited CBT center nearest to them to upload their O-level results. Wearing a face mask is compulsory for admittance into the college premises, in addition to strict observance of other COVID-19 safety protocols. Announcer, Registrar.
I'm done. Really? Yes. Na so walk, you know the finish. Amaka kilo day, na so walk, you know the tire. Oh, 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 oh. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah.
There's an easier way to get more data. Get more out of life with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now. Data is life.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on NTA's network service. Next is newspaper review.
And let's also welcome Bayo to be here with us. Bayo, good morning and good to see you after the weekend.
Yes, Claire, good morning. Good to see you. Good morning, Kinsley.
Hi, Bayo.
Good morning, Nigeria. Did you watch Nigeria play Algeria?
With one eye closed and the other
Okay.
after we are 1 goal down. So
yes. Well, throughout we were 1 goal down, but yes. I think what we have is a good team, but they are yet to blend. And these are all trial matches. But they are
not
youthful.
Happy at their attempt at goal.
Yes.
I think that was just the main issue.
Yes.
The attempt at goal were very, very poor.
Comparatively, the Algerian team has more of the older players. Our team is featuring more of new players, and they require time to blend as a team. But the individual skills were there.
So Kinsley, we are hopeful. Kinsley didn't watch. Kinsley would be watching.
You were not with me, so you wouldn't know whether I watched or not.
You'd be watching
I would know. I mean, it's this whole issue of blend and blend and blend. And a national team must have its own style, must have its own approach. And that's my challenge with the tactics of Raw. Like, what is your approach? When you see a national team play, you ought to be able to say, this is the Nigerian national team that you are watching. Not this virtual kick and follow that you find. Virtually, no pattern, you say we have no blender.
Yes.
Or no blender. You couldn't say this of Super Eagles of the past. The fluency just wasn't there. So
more retention.
Sometimes a great deal of agony watching some of these matches, even though they are friendlies. All right, but there's greater history made over the weekend in the tennis world. I'm sure.
Know, I told you.
We are,
yes.
Greater. I mean, yesterday you saw Rafael Nadal win his 20th Grand Slam, now equal with Roger Federer. He claimed his 13th French Open title, that's Roland Garros. No player before now had ever won so many titles from the same Grand Slam event. So right now he's equal with Roger Federer, 20 Grand Slams each, and Novak Djokovic, of course, still has 17. So these are the three top players in the world. Roger Federer is recuperating from surgery, and so his eye, of course, is also aging now. So the contest is still there as to who will be the greatest of all times. But if you ask me, right now with Nadal and Roger Federer equal at 20-20, head-to-head, Nadal leads Roger Federer in terms of number of times they have played. And by the way, by yesterday, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal met for a record 56th time. It had never happened again in the history of tennis. But Novak Djokovic continues to lead by 29 victories versus Rafael Nadal's 27.
But don't forget the teenager, the young girl who won.
Yeah, that's the female side.
History.
That is history. That's the female side. 19-year-old from Poland. She won the French Open unseeded. So that's also a record that we have seen there. But she is not the youngest player to have won a Grand Slam.
Let me take us back to
the significant thing, just before the Super Eagles, the significant thing is that you're having more democracy now in women's tennis. More democracy in the sense that different players win different slams. Unlike the men's tennis, you can identify, unlike the US Open when Novak Djokovic was disqualified, before then for almost 10 years or more, I'm not quite sure of the exact date, if I go back to my records, I'll check, no other player had won the Grand Slam title other than Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic or Rafael Nadal. So that tells you the level of their dominance on men's tennis. So that's bigger news, of course, over the weekend rather than watching some ragtag matches that didn't quite appeal. But we wish them the best.
Anyway, let me just go back to the Super Eagles, the ragtag matches that Kisley talked about. Raw says is to tinker Eagles against Tunisia. And he did say, Super Eagles coach said he was not unmindful of the criticisms that have trailed his side's 1-0 to Algeria at the, but that he was looking forward to next friendly tie against Tunisia. That'll be today?
Tuesday.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow in Austria. So he said it was important to test new players with the absence of some key players. So when you miss your complete midfield, absence of Wilfred Ndidi, Joe Aribo, and Ogene Karo Etibo, it's necessary to test or to experiment.
Yes.
So that's his explanation for what he did.
Yes, we're looking forward.
Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the front page. I thought we are done with the newspaper review. The Nation says, big support for sack of SARS. Lawan Bajabiamila, APC, NHRC, others back action. IGP promises reform of police. Now, there is a rider there. The Nigeria Police Force, NPF, must also act to identify and punish those operatives of SARS involved in the most severe cases of abuse of rights, brutality, and murder of Nigerians. And I think that's the strongest story. But of course, we have other stories on trending at the bottom of the paper. Akeredolu gets second term. Ondo governor floors PDP candidate Jagade and says it's victory for the peoples. It's just trending at the bottom there. And also trending at the top of the paper, village head, 12 others killed in attacks on Kaduna villages, page 6. Federal government rallies governors to back water bill, that's on page 5. And investors await third quarter results. 2 lecturers, 5 others die in Benue accident. Okay, Kingsley.
All right, let's take a look also at the window page of the Leadership newspaper. Leadership says Senate indicts 68 MDAs over revenue loss with 2 riders to reinvite hearing agencies for scrutiny and 6 review of Fiscal Responsibility Act. Evil people ascribing fake stories to me. That's according to Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. Evil people ascribing fake stories to me. Once again, that's Adesina. Details on page 14. Lead story comes with a kicker. Primary healthcare. 30 states yet to disburse funds, despite receiving federal government's 13.2 billion naira. We will commence disbursements, that's according to states, and the primary healthcare development agency is now targeting 409 low-performing local governments for polio vaccine. Jubilation in Ondo over Akeredolu's re-election. The magnanimous in victory, President Muhammadu Buhari, Lawan, and governors urge governor-elect. It's an endorsement of good governance, that's according to APC. Those are the two riders to that headline. And the photograph there on the front page shows the governor, Akeredolu, flanked by the Olowo for War, and the chairman of the Ondo State Council of Obas, Olugbo of Ugbo, and other royal fathers after the governor was declared winner of the weekend election. And this was in Akure, the Ondo State capital. People's will prevail as Inspector General of Police disbands FSAS. 95% provisions of water bill are existing laws. That's according to the minister. Federal government and Labour Committee slashes electricity tariff for 3 months. That's page 14. Unemployment rate to hit 30% in Q4. That's quarter 4, and that's attributed to Price Waterhouse. Apapa gridlock. Maritime workers issued 21-day ultimatum to federal government. Bayo.
Well, let's start with the two critical one political story, the election in Ondo State and the disbanding of SARS. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu was declared a winner of the election when the chief returning officer, Professor of the Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan, Professor Idowu Olayinka, announced that he polled 292,830 votes to beat People's Democratic Party, Itai Ojegede, who registered 195,791 votes. With a margin of 97,039 votes, he accepted his victory by calling all on his compatriot that this is a victory and let us all join hands to make Ondo great again. Jegede recorded his victory in 3 local governments, that is Ifedore, Akure North and Akure South, while the Ajayi, the deputy governor, was only second in 2 local governments, Irele and Odibo local government areas. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the governor-elect and urged him to be humble and magnanimous in victory. More importantly, he says he has enjoined the governor to serve the people of Ondo ever better than he did in the first term. He also appreciated the Ondo electorate for comporting themselves decently and exhibiting conduct that have shown that the nation has making progress in electoral behavior. INEC was also commended for registering another free, fair and credible election. Similarly, security agencies were also praised for ensuring orderliness. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, yesterday announced the dissolution of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, otherwise known as SARS. This is across the 36 of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Members are now to be deployed to other police commands and police formation. In the statement after the dissolution, the IGP said the dissolution is in response to the yearning of the Nigerian people. A new police arrangement to address the policing gap created by the dissolution will be announced in due course. It may be recalled that the Special Anti-Robbery Squad were created in 1992, in fact with just 15 officers. But however, it grew to become a nationwide thing with formations in most states of the Federation. In the years that it grew, it became notorious for certain atrocities by some of its members. In August 2015, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, ordered a reformation of SARS, and then the then IGP tagged it Federal SARS, centralizing it and limiting it to the Federal SARS. But some of the atrocities still continued. Meanwhile, there are other ad hoc formations, Special Tactical Squad, Intelligence Response Team, Anti-Cultism Squad, and all these have been combating one form of crime. In fact, former Inspector General of Police, Mark Ikiro, once lamented that these people they call SARS, you can't separate them from armed robbers from the way they dress. And so they had abandoned many of the police formations, the order, mode of dressing, and sometimes it became very difficult to distinguish between the SARS themselves and some of the criminals they were going after. This last crisis was triggered from a SUV. They spotted a guy in Ogeli, but demonstrations across the nation has prevailed, and the will of the people has been accepted. And it means that the Inspector General of Police now says that he's going to set up an investigation team that will comprise civil society organizations, human rights groups, and they will inquire into violations, and personnel that are indicted will be sanctioned.
Well, I think it's important. I mean, we've read the comments of several persons who say it's a triumph of people power to say that, look, there have been demonstrations, widespread demonstrations in major cities across the country calling for an end to SARS. I mean, some of us indicated that perhaps it might have been end to SARS impunity. The police authorities have taken this decision, of course, with political direction from the presidency. But the important thing is, even if you're going to have a replacement outfit or a replacement formation, how did SARS degenerate to the level that it now became, in the West on some persons, a monster? A monster. I mean, SARS it was a law unto itself. There are various accounts that I read over the weekend, and I'm sure you also have read them. Some of them said some SARS officers were going about with POS.
POS, yes.
Indeed.
POS.
And entering university campuses.
Persons
and entering campuses.
These were forced at gunpoint to go to ATM.
To go to ATM. These were therefore like just, I'm sorry, but it's not some of them. They just became like official armed robbers. That's what they were. So, and then they would say, they would threaten you, they would blackmail you and say, look, if you're not careful, we will frame you up as an armed robber, and then anything can happen, and we will do something to you and nothing will happen. And interestingly, last week, we had on Good Morning Nigeria, one of the directors from the Human Rights Commission, and he was indicating that they had dealt with a number of cases in terms of complaints against SARS, and yet the police authorities didn't seem to act. So while the rot was going on, why is it that the officers who were supposed to supervise the SARS men and women did not act? The level of impunity was unimaginable. Young persons, you will dress, they will profile you. You are driving a car or a flashy car, they will say you are a Yahoo boy. You have dreadlocks, they will say that. Even female footballers also joined. As Izato Sheola said, where did it become an offense for you to have dreadlocks? There are persons who are born with dreadlocks. We used to call them Agbiaga in those days, or Dada. And there was a myth that you don't cut it until the child, of his or her own volition says, look, I want to shave it off. So when did it become an offense to so dress? And then the armed robbery, look, let's put it this way. Yahoo is not armed robbery. You don't need guns to fight Yahoo unless the Yahoo boys themselves get armed. It is brain work that you need to fight Yahoo boys.
Yes, we have to be very careful. Cybercrime is also very endemic. Yes. It even earned Nigeria a bad name. You remember the instance of horse puppy in the United Arab Emirates. So much so that Nigerians' entry into United Arab Emirates was threatened until the federal government acted positively before the UAE reversed their ban on Nigerians entering that country. But be that as it may, there are rules and guidelines and the agencies established for fighting cybercrime. The cybercrime should not be tolerated. Particularly, we have to be very careful. Many of these young people, unfortunately, engage in these instances of Yahoo. And that is why many of them...
say many, you say some.
Yes. That is why many of them even came to join the demonstration. So we have to be very careful not to throw the baby away with the bathwater.
My question is, and has always been, now that SARS has been disbanded, the IGP says they have been redeployed immediately. To where?
Go back to the police formation.
To the same set of people to continue to spoil the other eggs?
SARS was not a formation of its
own. Because
it was an ad hoc creation within the police force. So they are going back to their parent
body. You redeploy the rotten egg and redeploy them to join the good eggs, to corrupt the good eggs. No, we must look at that.
Fish them out.
Yes, we must do a purge.
I agree with. See, but there are also issues with extreme measures such as a purge. If you say fire them, that's to say sack them. These are persons you have already trained in weapons handling. And we often know that disengagement procedures in the country do not often take account of what these persons might do. There have been reports of dismiss police officers engaging in armed robbery, such as we saw in Offa and all that. But one other important thing, and I didn't hear this from all the statements that have been made with regard to the dismantlement of SARS and what is going to be done. What is the psychological and psychiatric evaluation of persons, who are given weapons to handle and, of course, use them almost flagrantly or in a threatening manner against citizens? This is part of what has been happening. What is the psychiatric? I'm not saying that, look, in Nigeria, when you say psychiatric, somebody might then say, oh, Kingsley said that these people, they are mad. I didn't say that. Are they under stress? If a person is under stress, you continue to give him those assault rifles?
Yeah, there should be an evaluation.
The immediate past, this was one of the measures recommended by the immediate past IG, that some of them go through this psychiatric, evaluation. It was part of the recommendation, and maybe somewhere along the line, it was discarded also.
Lest we forget, COVID-19, we've been making some progress. Yesterday, however, there were 163 cases, bringing our total now to 60,260. But the Tribune is drawing attention to some of the successes, and Nigerian Tribune says that there have been low cases, few deaths, and also many recoveries in the last 1 week. And it adds that we may be close to flattening the curve. Last week, that was the 41st week, and as at that time, 553,037 tests have been conducted and only 60,103 cases have been confirmed. Now, we are lucky because projection was that by July of 2020, Nigeria will have recorded nothing less than between 120,000 to 200,000. Now, what we have recorded is 60,216. So we've been able to manage it. But the consequences are, and the potentials are that we could be going on the high side. Today, many schools are reopening.
Federal government colleges have reopened today.
And many states too are to open their schools. And we need to emphasize that the Presidential Task Force has emphasized that the guidelines has to be followed by both parents, schools, health authorities, school authorities, and local and state government officials.
Now that you have brought about the issue of schools, the editorial from the Daily Sun is on the new salary structure for teachers. And of course, we all read the mouth-watering, salary scale and incentives, that the federal government, has approved for teachers and their children. You have bursary, you have, of course, scholarship, and so on and so forth. So this editorial is sounding a note of caution and urging the government to ensure that this does not also end up as mere promises, that there should be political will on the part of government to fully implement the new salary scheme for teachers. And, well, that's basically the...
Yes, editorial is it's a very wonderful gesture. It's good, but it should not end merely as a gesture. Government should go beyond that and make sure that in practical terms, teachers begin to get their reward here on earth. And this is the beginning of it. And what I think I will begin to see now, if it is implemented, those who are teachers and had even abandoned the profession because it didn't look too green enough, will gradually be finding their way back there into that. And not only that, there is a danger here. This is a pronouncement by the federal government. To what extent are state and local government taking along? Majority of the schools belong to the state government. Some of the primary schools are in the responsibility of local government. So we need to see to what extent this pronouncement will go. And another question, the budget 2021 has been laid before the National Assembly.
Was this
captured there? If it is not captured, how soon is a supplementary budget going to be proposed to ensure that this promise is actually fulfilled?
The answer to your question is blowing in the wind. Remember that song?
Yes, I can.
Well, all right. I would like to thank you. We say a great luck again. Maritime workers issuing 21-day ultimatum to the federal government. We've focused on that repeatedly. Yes. That's the key thing is open up other ports in the country. That's nothing, no alternative.
There's been a positive development.
There's no positive development, Bio.
There is one. Can I remind you of it?
All right.
They are using barges now to freight some of these containers through the port up to Onitsha. And that will go to some extent to reduce...
That's a test run.
Yes.
That's a test run. That's fine. Test run, fine. But Port Harcourt ports, Calabar, Warri, cocoa, use other pots and they develop other pots.
Yes.
I mean, those who are familiar with Lagos would know the nightmare that Apapa has been for some years now. So, can you imagine if the major active ports in the US were to be the New York and New Jersey ports?
Mayor, we have to let you go.
Thank you for letting me go.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow will be another day.
Thank you. This is Good Morning Nigeria. Don't go away. When we come back, we'll start our conversation and I'll tell you what it is when we come back.
Do you desire to upscale your skills and capacities for better productivity? Then you need to attend the following courses organized by NTA TV College, JOS, Archival Management System in the Broadcast Media, date 12th to 30th October 2020. Photojournalism and Photography, date 19th to 30th October 2020. English Grammar and Pronunciation for Broadcasters, date 26th October to 20th November 2020. Protocol Event Management and Public Relations, date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques, date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills, date 16th to 27th November 2020. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant, while the fee for other courses is 80,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College, near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
For over 70 years, we've protected our homes against germs together. And now is no different. So let's disinfect and protect our floors and surfaces every day. Dettol. Protect what's worth fighting for.
Sometime we never see the kind things Nigeria they make. E no reach wetin we dey shop later. We even dey use $22 billion take bring things from Obodo Oyinbo every year. To bring better come inside we Obodo Nigeria, na so our government arrange them import policy come. Now, for us to survive, we must to learn how to feed we serve. So far, that plan don't nearly work finish, sake of CBN we stand gidiga to support local farmers and small market people. Our plan to give 10 million people work with 10 products under 5 years don't dey pure. We fit to do am. Make we buy Nigeria to grow Nigeria. Call your banker today for more information on how to get involved.
My tailor don't be your mate. He don't dey for your grade. If he knock you agbada, you tell him go the hell lambo. Anytime I want to celebrate, he go so the cloth he no dey late oh. He dey sweet me like you chocolate oh. My tailor no dey disappoint oh. Tailor we go Harvard University oh yo yo. If they knock me, you no go they jump like a baka. If you see my tailor,
make that switch today and enjoy all calls at 11 kobo per second. Free data on every recharge and double data for 3 months on the network with the widest 4G coverage.
Okay, my tailor.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, to kickstart our conversation, which is on a review of last weekend's Ondo governorship election, let's listen into this background by our correspondent, Abu Salam Jibril.
I hereby declare Oluwarotimi Odunayo Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the winner and is hereby returned elected.
It is official. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has declared incumbent governor and candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Rotimi Akeredolu, winner of the Ondo State governorship election. With 292,830 votes, the incumbent governor won 15 of the 18 local government areas declared by INEC, while his closest rival, Eyitayo Jegede of the People's Democratic Party, one in 3 local government areas. On the conduct of the election, some election observers noted that significant improvement was recorded in the deployment of election logistics by INEC. They maintained that there was timely arrival of materials and also the availability of sensitive and non-sensitive materials, which include cubicle boxes, ballot papers, and smart card readers across polling units. Compared to the Edo election, INEC made more efforts to enforce COVID-19 protocols, such as the use of face masks, infrared thermometers for temperature checks, and hand sanitizers as stipulated in INEC protocols for the election. However, observing physical distancing among voters was a major challenge. While the conduct of the election was generally adjudged to be relatively peaceful, there were reports of violence witnessed in some polling units and instances of some suspected hoodlums defying the ban on vehicular movement. Fake news and misinformation claiming that particular party candidates had withdrawn from the race was also common on election day. This was no doubt targeted at deceiving voters who wanted to cast their ballots for their preferred candidates. Looking retrospectively at the Ondo governorship election, what more needs to be done to further improve the conduct of elections in Nigeria?
Okay, so let me quickly introduce our guest. Quickly from INEC, Nick Dezang, Director of Voter Education and Publicity of INEC. Thank you very much once again for joining us for this conversation.
Thank
we
you
also
for
have
having
here
me.
with us in the studio Dr. Ismail Bello, Lecturer, Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, Bayes University here in Abuja. He's also a public affairs analyst and was with us here also last week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, joining us from Akure, that's the Ondo State capital, would like to welcome the Commissioner of Police, Bolaji Salami. He's in charge of Ondo State. Commissioner, a pleasure to have you with us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. Also joining us via Zoom is Ezenwa Nwangu. He's a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria. He's Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform and convener Say No Campaign Nigeria. Ezenwa, pleasure to have you with us. We know you were in Ondo over the weekend. All right. And also with us via Zoom is our correspondent from NTA Akure, Olubukola Aduo. Olubukola Aduo, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me.
All right, so let's begin the conversation with you, Olubukola Aduo. Just on the eve of the election, we also had one of your colleagues who was with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Now the elections, as the saying goes, the elections have come and gone. From your point of view, what were the critical success factors in what has been referred to as the fairness, freeness, and credibility of the polls?
Thank you so very much. Well, I'll start with the turnout of voters. The turnout of voters was very, very impressive in all the local government areas that we covered. I covered Owo and Ose local government, and the turnout was massive, huge. And the people did not just come out, they came out very early. As early as 7 in the morning, 7:30, they started trooping into the polling units. At a point, the weather was not too friendly because there was an heavy downpour in almost all the local governments in Ondo State. But the people defied the rain and they came out to exercise their franchise. So there was no voter apathy. Everybody came out very early and the crowd was massive. Then we have early arrival of electoral materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive materials. They also arrived at the polling units on time. Then for the issue of security, because like 2 weeks prior to the election, there were political violence in some parts of, recorded in some parts of the state, and people were scared, they were worried if the election, will be each free. But the security, because we learned that we had 33,000 police officers deployed for the exercise in Ondo State. So at least in the polling unit, we had at least four police officers. So they provided security and people were happy. And I think that was what necessitated them, the people coming out to exercise their franchise. So it was really peaceful. And again, one of the fears, on the minds of the people was the issue of the card reader machines. Few weeks to the election, some smart card machines, here in Akure got burnt at the INEC headquarters, but it was immediately replaced, and people were worried. Maybe they were worried about what they might face as regards, these smart card readers on the day of the election. But the affairs were adequately taken care of because the machines worked perfectly at least in the local government that I monitored and from the reports that we got. So, and this made accreditation and voting the process, seamless. So everything was fine, and the atmosphere was calm. There was no violence, no ballot snatching, no intimidation of any sort. The atmosphere was generally peaceful.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. INEC, has gotten quite a number of commendations, which you have also, confirmed. In terms of arrival of materials, the people have also been commended in terms of keeping to time and all that. Is there anything you found out why this happened? Because this has not been the case.
Yes, I think people are more educated. There was massive voter education. People are now aware that they need to go out. And, this election was a very critical one, highly contested. So people actually came out and on my MS to exercise their franchise. And INEC also was up to his game, and the security agencies too.
All right, Olubukola, I still would stay with you. Tell us, what accounted for the number of votes the three leading candidates got? I'm asking this question against the background of a simple arithmetic, that if you added the votes scored by the runner-up, that's to say Ayitayo Jegede of the PDP and that of the deputy governor who was a ZLP candidate, those two candidates, their votes did not come close to that of the winner. Why was it such a huge margin, as it were, for the incumbent governor? What factors played in his favor?
Well, in my own opinion, I think the governor is the current governor, so that worked for him. And also the good things that he has done, the people could see, and I think that was why they had to return him to pass. So I think it is just because he is the incumbent and he has done so well for the people of the state.
Okay, Buki, you've said that the election went very well by your assessment, but we've also had some instances of pockets of skirmishes here and there. You may not have covered those areas. We've also heard of cases of vote buying. Did you observe any infraction whatsoever?
Well, civil society groups that monitored the election pointed this out, but and they want INEC and security agencies to check, the issue of vote buying in maybe subsequent elections. But as reporters, we did not see anywhere this played out. We did not see.
All right, Olubukola, we're going to have to pause you and bring in now the Commissioner for Police in Ondo State. Is with us via Skype. We introduced him a while ago. Is Bolaji Salami. CP, well, the reports that we have indicate that all generally went well. What happened from your own evaluation?
Thank you very much. The planning stage, the Inspector General of Police mandated all police officers taking part in the exercise to arrive in Ondo State 5 days ahead of the exercise. So we posted all our men to their various places where they will 3 days, and they familiarized themselves with the environment. And on the day of election, they took over, they were at their various places by 6 a.m. So they were there before the INEC, with the INEC officials and before the voters arrived. So that gave us the opportunity of massive provision of security in and around the voting places. So we were able to know the area, and we did that of, and when people maybe realized that security were around, they came out massively to vote. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kingsley, I don't know if you still have a question with him. I want to.
CP, there were reports of a few incidents involving some hotheads who tried either to disrupt voting or storm the collation center. There were reports of gunshots. Usually what we had seen in the past would be that thugs will be recruited from either the neighboring states or from far-flung locations. Did you have many incidents of persons who had strayed in to come and foment trouble, or your men were, as you say, on ground to neutralize whatever plans such persons might have had?
Yes, please. The days before the election, the police with other security organizations, we did what we call show of strength, and people around, even talks, like you said, they have seen that because nobody wants to be caught, so they have seen that they could be arrested if they try to perpetrate whatever plan they have. Though most of them, even if let's assume that they were in their various places, but they cautioned themselves and they did not come out because of the presence of security, not only the police, all our sister organizations, they assisted, and that one prevented the coming out of talks or coming out of those who wants to disturb the exercise. We have one or two maybe incidences where it happened, but the response time was so short that we were there and we were able to neutralize all. And throughout the exercise, we did not record any maybe casualty or anything like that. So we were on top of our game.
Let me ask you, in aiding your work, security assignment, what was the conduct of the politicians themselves as well as the electorate?
No, they were talked to that they should maybe appeal to their followers that what we can't this time around will be the votes of the followers, not the act of snatching the ballot boxes, not the act of disturbing the system. So the politicians too, they maybe talked to their followers, and everybody followed the rules, and we got the result that we have now.
Let's just put you on hold and bring in. Kinsley, want a question for him?
No, we'll return to the Commissioner of Police.
Okay, let's bring in Ezenwa Nwago, who is Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform and convener Say No Campaign Nigeria. Ezenwa, we do appreciate all of you, the team of observers, and the in-depth analysis of elections that you bring out. Now, from your perspective, comparatively with what happened in Edo some weeks back, did we take this election a notch higher? Did we sustain the tempo, or were there gaps?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get you.
Okay, I said comparatively with what happened in Edo election, some weeks back, with the Ondo election, did we sustain the tempo from Edo? Did we take it a notch higher? Or were there gaps, wide gaps?
I'm not able to hear you, but let me just quickly say that INEC, for me, has earned the bragging rights in terms of the way they have come through from Edo to Ondo, and that's coming from the fact that we've seen the markedly improvement in the issues of logistics. The punctuality index for the Ondo election was remarkably better than what we've always seen, and that came from the kind of initiative that they brought to bear in terms of first the engagement they had with the NURTW transport vendors, who had to stay together with the election officials at the designated rack centers, and that clearly made it possible for materials to get in on time. And the security agents, like the Commissioner of Police said, didn't take on the normal parts of having to go and do match pass in their stations before coming out. In most of the stations, and I observed around Owo and Ifon, and it was clear that the security agents meant business. But more importantly is to commend the people of Ondo State, their resilience in spite of the early rains that nearly was going to disrupt the process. We saw that they stood in, and in many places the people of Ondo State, not just because of the security agencies, also resisted people who wanted to obstruct the elections. So generally we are seeing incremental progress in the conduct of elections, in the conduct of security agents, in the conduct of electoral officials, and also importantly in the conduct of the political parties and their candidates. But we cannot take this away completely from the intervention of moral institutions, with that huge intervention by His Royal Majesty the Oba of Benin, and then consequently the Deji of Akure and the Olugbo of
Well, thank you. Sorry, you froze there. Why you were going to say Oluwo of Owo? Owo is in Ondo North Senatorial District. If your Zoom connection is restored, we can come back to you. Ezenwa Nwangu, well, of course, we'll try and get back to you so that you can continue with your analysis. Let's come to our studios now and bring in Dr. Ismail Bello. Dr. Ismail Bello, Nick Dazang has been smiling. Can you spoil his fun a bit? Because Ezenwa Nwangu said, look, INEC has now acquired the bragging rights on account of the conduct of the Edo and Ondo elections. You want to put some fly in the ointment? So that
I will go in line with what he has said. We need to give it to INEC for the smooth conduct of the election, commend the stakeholders, commend people of Ondo State for their resilience. As you said, I need to, come in a little bit. There's this growing concern of vote buying. I saw a lot of social media posts of people showing what they've been giving, pictures of party agents on both sides, not just the ruling party, on both sides, both PDP and APC buying votes. So we need to work on the issue of vote buying. And as a political scientist, lecturer in international relations, I say it, we need to work on the issue of poverty. You understand? When there is high rate of poverty in the land, people will be forced to take any offer that is being thrown to them by this politician. So we need to work on the issue of vote buying and also commend INEC for the conduct of the general election, the Ondo election.
Well, in your opinion, yes, did the outcome truly reflect the will of the voters?
Yes, it did. So as I mentioned the last time I was here, I said it was going to be easy for APC to go on. I said it. The governor has been able to carry stakeholders along, unlike what happened in the 2019 election, where there was a lot of infighting between stakeholders in the APC, which led to PDP clinching 2 Senate seats. But now he has been able to rally stakeholders within the party and also others. If you look at the previous election, OK had a better outing than what we have in ZLP. That was why the last time I was here, I said it was a 2-race fight, not a 3-race fight as people were saying Abuja. You know, we have stronger stakeholders like OK in Ondo South, you know, that was able to push in more votes for APC compared to the estranged Deputy Governor Abuja. So the will of the people carry the day. Projects by the governor, the Ondo Seaport that is in the pipeline, and other infrastructure projects must have counted a lot. And as I said, also political patronage. You know, he has commissioners, SA, contractors, and so on and so forth. You know, and they will be scared that, oh, how are we sure if the next or the new government comes in, it won't cut off the pipeline from supplying them, you know, of these goodies.
I remember you also talked about the Mimiko factor.
Yes. Just like my co-discussant Jide said, I said, you can't count on Mimiko, you understand? He won the election then for his first time and second time because people were against imposition or thereabout. Same thing as Akeredolu. As I said, in his first coming, party leaders from, I don't want to mention names, were against his election. In fact, there was allegation that OK was supported by a party leader just to spite Akeredolu. So a lot has changed. Mimiko lost his election in 2019, so I don't think senatorial election in 2019. So I don't think it carries much weight in the politics of Ondo State now.
Well, just by way of recapitulation, a week ago we had the incumbent governor who was a candidate who's now won the election. And this same point came up as to the potential influence of Mimiko. And I recall him saying that Mimiko was a spent political force.
I agree with him. If not for the time, I wanted to counter Jide here last week. You mentioned in your introduction, when you even combine the vote of PDP and ZLP, it is not up to the 292 of the incumbent governor. Looking back at the 2016 election, the gap between Eita Jagede and Akeredolu was 70-something thousand. Now it has widened to 97,000. So it shows that the governor has been able to consolidate. He has been able to reach out to his people and also stakeholders in his party. So I don't think the Mimiko factor count in Ondo election.
What do you think is beyond the issue of works done by the governor? What are the other technical permutations that have aided him, against even his incumbent deputy?
Bringing in political stakeholders from his party. We have Ali Olansi, the former deputy governor to Mimiko, Kekemenke, former chairman, OK in the south, and so on and so forth. So his ability to, convince the stakeholder, we could work together and achieve success, make sure APC become victorious, and so on and so forth. Even if you look at the selection of the deputy governorship candidate for now under APC, Mr. Lucky, I did something. It was through consultation. The governor himself went to the house of OK, went to the house of stakeholder. Being an incumbent governor, he did not say, come to government house, let us discuss. He was able to rally around, he moved around the state. So apart from intervention projects and so on and so forth, his ability to rally stakeholders. You understand? You can't play that away. We discuss the issue of godfathers or mentors. You need people that are able to convince people at the local level. The governor can't be everywhere. We have people in the wards, local government that people listen to, maybe because of, they've been able to secure jobs for you, they've been able to help with your needs, and so on and so forth. So you refer to them, you respect them, and so on and so forth. So you look at Ajayi Boniface and the governor had issues in the 2019 general election. There were accusations that the governor supported the candidate of AD against Boniface, but that has changed now, and it helped him in Ondo North, and so on and so forth. So his ability to bring the stakeholders together really helped him, apart from works and projects.
All right, thanks. Now,
I wanted to ask him before we come to
Ismail is still around.
Yes.
Nick Dazang Congratulations one more time from what we have heard from all with
should we
regard
give
to
an applause?
what ANEC is doing. You said when we had you here last week that ANEC had some lessons from the Edo election, and the Edo election of itself had been applauded by all and sundry as being free, fair, and credible. So, what went right in Ondo? What went wrong?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say that borrowing from the French philosopher Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, that when deeds speak, words are nothing. In other words, when things go right, you don't have to put a spin on them. They speak eloquently to what has happened. And that is what we have seen in Ondo.
In a sense, in law, you will say res ipsa loquitur.
Yes.
That's the French. You think speaks for itself.
Yes. So I think working together with other stakeholders professionally and diligently, we have seen a very positive result. And the way to go is to sustain this momentum. We have 15 by-elections to conduct on Saturday, 31st October, this year. And 6 of them are senatorial, and 9 state constituency elections. So we need to sustain the momentum, to the conduct of these elections, and then subsequent elections in 2021, when we conduct the Anambra governorship election, and then the 2023 elections. Be that as it may, I observed that in the last discussion, we did a post-mortem, and the commission identified 16 salient areas that it needed to improve on. And it articulated actions that needed to be carried out to address those challenges. We farmed up our logistics, with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, but we still need to do more because our preliminary investigations show that the mishap we had when the boat carrying our staff and materials capsized was because the men and materials were not taken to the jetty in time, and so when the convoy took off, they were speeding, and the naval staff who were accompanying them were asking them to slow down, and in the course of slowing down, the 2 boats rammed into each other, one tilted, one capsized. So if they had taken off in time, they would have had no reason to speed, or to overspeed rather. So we need to still firm up on our logistics to insist that men and materials must leave a certain time allocated by the commission. And
there were no fatalities from that.
There were no fatalities. Yes.
Some of the videos that circulated on social media showed, of course, that the persons accompanying the materials were well kitted with their
life jackets.
And
yes,
all
but
thanks
also to the professionalism of the Navy that intervened immediately. That was why we could salvage the staff and the materials, and they proceeded and conducted the elections on time.
Really?
Yes. And overall, if you look at the turnout of the election, at 10 a.m. that morning, in spite of the rains across the state, the polling units had opened up to the tune of 97.7%. In fact, it was only in 2 local governments where we had some few delays, but otherwise, we achieved 100% opening of polls in 16 of the local governments, which gave us 99.7%. And then, in spite of the fact that we expected some challenges with the card reader, we only had 9%. We had a total of 88% where the smart card reader functioned, but we had some issues. But thank God, we had also put in place 104 registration area technical support staff. We call them RATEX. And their remit, their brief was to wherever we had glitches, they were to immediately respond by correcting these glitches. So we were able to address that, and but there are still growing concerns with vote buying. We received several reports of vote buying. In fact, one of the civil society organizations was able to report to us vote buying as it was taking place real time, in the situation room. And so we escalated the report to the security agencies. So we need to still get our acts on that. And I think that generally the turnout was okay, given the pedigree of the state. Since 2011, we've not had turnout beyond 40%. And this time the turnout was in the margin of 30-something percent. And then, no, I think, sorry, the turnout for this election from our own figures in INEC is 32.6%, but that of Yaga Africa is 33.4%. And when you compare it with that of 2016, which was 34.9%, you now see that the turnout was, there was just a slight decline of 1.5%. And that agrees with the survey we did before the conduct of the election, which showed that in spite of the fact that we are conducting the election within the context of COVID-19, 91% of the citizens of Ondo State, supported the conduct of the election within the context of this pandemic. And Ondo, like Edo, also has a very large youth population. More than 50% of the voters were people, who are from the ages of 18 to 45. So I think that our targeting of youths before the election, using our own voter education strategies, worked. And we hope that we'll sustain that, but we also had issues with the observance of physical and social distancing. People wore masks quite all right. Water and soap were, supplied at the polling units, and sanitizers. But we also observed that there was still not robust compliance with the COVID-19 guidelines. So going forward, we need to continue to work on that because we don't want a spike of this pandemic anywhere. So we'll continue to engage with the health authorities to support us in enforcing compliance with the guidelines.
All right, how did your results portal function this time? Yes,
I was going to say that the portal worked seamlessly. In fact, as at 9:16 p.m. on Saturday, more than, I think, 2,754 results had been viewed. That is on Saturday evening. And as at 11 a.m. on Sunday, 2,995 results were viewed out of 3,009. And before the results were declared, all the results had been uploaded and they had been viewed. So you could see that Ondo was relaxed because people knew the outcome even before the formal declaration by the returning officer. And a lot of people were calling us to say, this is the outcome, and so on. But, we had to await the official declaration of the results. So the portal, has worked, and it has also added transparency to the process.
Okay, thank you. Let's put you on hold and get back to Ezenwa, who is joining us via Zoom. Ezenwa, thank you. I hope our connection with you is clean and clear. If it is, speak to us on the turnout. Nick Dezang has told us that between INEC and Yaga's figure, there is maybe voter turnout is under 35%. So what, from your perspective, do you think would account for this? And also talk to us about the deployment of technology and its impact on the credibility of the outcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that first, what Biaga brought out in terms of turnout and that of INEC, the difference is just less than 2%. So that validates the fact that what INEC has done is credible, and that the political parties and their candidates can have confidence that those figures actually reflect the outcome of the process. But much more than that, what has happened is that the highest that Ondo has had, it's never been above 43%. And so what happened is that many times when people talk about voter turnout, they do not do that with reference to the number of registered voters in that particular polling area where they are looking at. And experience has also shown that many of the people that you see milling around polling units may not necessarily be voters. And some of them have other businesses that they do around polling areas. So the actual voting strength of a polling unit, those who observe from the outside may not really be able to do that. So 1.4 million voters and then a relatively less than 600,000 people come out is not something we should be very excited about. We need to work on voter education. We need to improve governance in a way that citizens have a sense that government is working for them. And we need to also, much more than that, continue to imbue confidence in the electoral process in a way that makes voters realize that when they vote, their votes will count. But kudos also to INEC for the innovation that was tried out in Nasarawa and then Edo. The retention and the management of results and its transparency has been able to help in building confidence in voters and in citizens that at the PU level, that once results are announced, that the transportation from the local government to the RAC areas and then from the final collation point will not be manipulated. And that is why as early as few hours after results started trickling in, citizens were already, through this innovation, were ready to connect with the results. And I think that will douse tension. I think that can help us going forward in also removing the ritual of having to wait for very long hours after returns have been made and before we can hear what the outcome is. So the integrity of elections is being strengthened, is being helped by the infusion of technology. The more of it that we bring to bear, the better for us. If we are able to remove the human, components in the electoral process, the more confidence we build in citizens and voters that their vote will count. And I think that is the way to go. And it's not just only in the area of result management and retention. We should also begin to talk about the cash, the role of cash in elections, especially at the polling unit level. In Ondo, it came as high as 7,000 naira in the different polling units. And this is across all the political parties. So we can't have election in which the confidence, the legitimacy of those who win those elections are called to questions because at the end of the day, the votes that they garnered were purchased and induced. That is the next role for reforms that we need to. It does appear that from Edo to Ondo and even before then, we are seeing the role of cash in elections, and I don't think it augurs well for the kind of progress that we are making in our electoral process. And it comes back to the security agencies who have the responsibility of maintaining law and order. The Yaga Africa report pointed out in several places where there were community collusion, where security agents also facilitated the issue of vote buying. And I think in doing an election audit, we must take in all of this and see what we can do to ensure that at the end of the day, we have the election that all of us can be proud of. But let it be said that whatever it is that we have said does not in any way mar the progress that we have seen in the Ondo election, because you have 3,009 polling units, and most of these infractions did not fundamentally affect the outcome of the election, and that is something to cheer about.
All right, Azenwa, thank you very much for your frank analysis. I just also wanted to ask, the Edo election, now the Ondo election, both have been praised on account of the process, notwithstanding the issues of see and buy, which you just talked about. But tell us, how do we export the gains from these off-cycle elections to general elections?
Mm-hmm.
Ezenwa, did you get my question? Ezenwa, I was asking, look, how do we export the gains from off-cycle elections such as we have seen in Edo and Ondo? All right, Ezenwa, I understand that we've lost you one more time, but let's bring in the Commissioner of Police in Ondo, who is still with us, I believe, via Zoom in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Commissioner of Police, Bolaji Salami, well, there may not have been many gunshots in the course of the election, but one thing that has been also widely reported is what has been referred to as see and buy, which is the slang for vote trading. Buy and sell. We're not sure how much it was, but there are reports that this has taken place in the full glare sometimes of law enforcement agents. What generally is the attitude of law enforcement to this see and buy? I'm asking this question because we've heard sometimes they say it is better for people to be laughing and clapping their hands rather than to be fighting and shooting guns. So which is a better evil to manage? Is it see and buy or to be managing violence? But otherwise, why are your men not stamping out these incidents of vote buying and vote trading?
Thank you very much. On the issue of shooting, we recorded, we were told of shooting in just one particular area, and we went there immediately. We did not even see used ammunition. So, but we saw somebody wounded, and we rushed him to the hospital, and I visited the hospital, and he's still there, very stable. That was only shooting incidents that we can say recorded on that day of election. And on the case of vote buy, sir, I will believe that most of these activities maybe must have taken place outside the voting premises, and our policemen, they were posted basically to guide the polling booths. So if they have seen any one of them, they will have maybe acted. But most of these exercises, the vote buys, I believe that it's basically outside that area, and anyone seen will have been arrested. We don't only the police, we have ICPC, we have EFCC around that move around all these areas, and we are still compiling the issue of issues that happened during that day, and anyone arrested will be investigated and prosecuted, I believe.
All right, CP, thank you very much. Incidentally, if you recall, before the election, we had DIG Oyebade, who was with us. He was full of confidence. He had also been in Edo for the election, and he said they were going to improve on what happened in Edo. And true to his claim, Ondo has also turned out to be largely peaceful. Just from an organizational point of view, because we had seen policing activities in the past in our elections. Sometimes some of your officers will complain about not being paid their allowances, some of them not having the requisite accommodation, and more particularly, there was also said to have been intervention, that's orders from above, to look the other way while, persons were tampering with the process. You had a free hand to run this election, rather to supervise the security of this election?
It was totally free. And the payment of allowances to the officers was done promptly. Those who could not receive before received even that very day. And the officers performed the duty joyfully. And I don't think that there will be instruction for any officer to look the other way when offense is being committed. I was with the DIG Oyebade in Edo too, and we carried out everything together, and we promised to improve on every occasion. So that's what we have done in Ondo State too. And subsequently, I believe that the situation that all participants are saying about our election will come to life by improvement at every point.
Okay, let's quickly take a short break. When we come back, we'll be returning to our correspondent, Bukola Aduwo, in, of course, Akure.
Like every mother, I'm worried about dangerous insects, especially mosquitoes, which spread diseases like malaria to my loved ones. This year, I'm not afraid. I'm using new Mortein Instakill. New Mortein Instakill's improved formulation knocks down mosquitoes 2 times faster. Not even a single mosquito is spared, because even one mosquito bite can cause malaria. Mortein Insta knocks down mosquitoes 2 times faster.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring great personalities from all walks of life. Expository interview with a young TV presenter who shows passion on what she does, Morayo Afolabi Brown of TVC. Pick a copy of this compendium of mind-blowing stories and get abreast with issues as regards media convergence, leadership, health, star profiles, star programs, fashion, sports, human angle stories, and lots more. Meet some media professionals within our space who have paid their dues in no small ways. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Let's bring in our correspondent, Bukola Aduwo, joining us via Zoom from Akure. Bukola, the global discussion now is on sustainable development, and that will include inclusiveness. Now, from your coverage, did you observe inclusive voting in terms of women, maybe the youth, and of course those physically challenged?
Yes, thank you so very much. I think we need to commend INEC for full inclusion of people with special needs, albinos, people who are visually impaired, people who were physically challenged. Once they discover that you're physically challenged, immediately you get to the polling units, they give you space to do your accreditation and voting. Even if you come, before other people, they allow you to just do that and leave the polling units. And also the INEC provided ballots for those who were, visually impaired, and they were so grateful. I spoke with some of them; they were happy and they commended INEC. Also, I noticed that there were no young people at the polling units, probably because some of them who just turned 18 were not allowed to register. But I think before we have the general elections in 2023, maybe they will be allowed to register. But we had a lot of women who came out from all the nook and crannies of the state to vote. So it's an improvement on what we used to have.
All right, Bukola, I still would like you to help our viewers understand what happened in the election in terms of the outcome. We've been looking at the numbers. The aggregate votes for the winner now are much higher than they were 4 years earlier. And if you were to add the votes of the second and the third in the race, they don't come anywhere near the votes of the winner, over 292,000. One point that we had last week was that, look, Ondo State has a zoning arrangement, and that right now is the turn of Ondo North, where the governor comes from. He's from Owo. Jagede, of course, is from the Akura, that's the central area, and Agbola is from the south. Did that zoning arrangement play any role, significant or otherwise, in the wide margins that we saw the victory of the winner, so that person said, look, don't shake the tables? Well, it looks like each time we pop up some questions, we'll get a freeze. I hope we're able to resolve that. I'm Dr. Ismail Bill. I would like you to take that question.
Yes, so looking at the votes, PDP won in 3 local government, basically in Ondo Central. APC had the field day in Ondo North and Ondo South. So I want to believe that the next 4 years, the ruling party should be able to zone the candidate to the south. I believe from the votes in the south, they were able to come together and agree that, as you said, don't shake the table. Hopefully politicians keep to their words. Power should return to Ondo South in 2024 when there will be general elections. So I believe it played a key role looking at the result, because Ondo South voted in bulk to the APC.
You know, there were allegations, sorry, there have been allegations by the, other parties, allegations of vote buying, allegations of even, what will I say, changing of, results, the ballots and all that. What do you think those, parties should do? Should they, given the analysis of Ezenwa and yourself, do you think these allegations will stand?
As I said, from the videos I saw online, posted by Twitter handles that belong to both APC and PDP, it was done on both sides. It wasn't something done by the ruling party or only the opposition. There was this quote by a politician that the person with Sabi rig or always Sabi buy vote now in the win election. You understand? So they did it on both sides. As I said, they need to address the root cause of this problem, poverty. You understand? Looking at the HDI of Nigeria Human Development Index, come to health, come to education, come to standard of living, it's not encouraging, So when people are gainfully employed, you offer them 5,000 naira. Certainly, they won't take 5,000 naira as against what they believe will be a better bargain for them. When you come on board, you build infrastructure, better education system, better healthcare system, and so on and so forth. So, as I said, this the commission that was supposed to be established on electoral offences, there is need for it to be in place in order to ensure that whoever does something like that is arrested and prosecuted.
All right, Ismail, thanks. I understand that Bukola is back.
Yes.
Bukola Aduwo, did you get my question? My question was relating to just trying to get our viewers to understand what transpired in the election in terms of the margin of votes that the winner got. That some persons have attributed it to the fact that, look, there is a subsisting zoning arrangement and the governor comes from Ondo North, and some persons believe, look, just one more term, why shake the table? After that, it goes to another zone. Was that critical?
Yes, thank you so very much. That is one of the critical factors that worked for the current governor, the winner of the election. Another thing that worked for him was that, like Dr. Bello pointed out, and I agree with him, he said is the fact that the Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu consulted widely. He carried along all the critical stakeholders in the election, carried them along. the party APC in Ondo State is very united. You know, like the popular saying that a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. But APC in Ondo State, you know, is very strong. Even all the people who were aggrieved after the primary election, all of them came back and they supported him. I think this actually worked for him. And even the factor of the deputy governor that was picked, that's Lucky Aiyedatiwa from the Southern Central District, also worked for him. So these are some of the factors. And like I said earlier, the people feel that he had done very well, and that was why he was returned.
I was just going to ask you still, because this is related to it, we had touched on it in passing. By last week, some analysts were saying, look, this election, even though a three-horse race, is actually one between Akeredolu and the former governor, Mimiko, Olusegun Mimiko. But we have seen the outcome of the election. Is this, therefore, the end of the political influence of the Iroko, as Mimiko is also known?
Well, I don't think so, because the Zenith Labour Party, which the former governor Olusegun Mimiko belongs to, is still a very strong party, and you know, they have a way of meeting at the top. They have a meeting point, all these politicians, and I know that with time they're still going to come around. It's just the election that has divided them, and I think they're still going to come around. So I can't actually say this is the end of Iroko.
Okay, Buki, thank you. Thank you very much for that. But let's look at the three LGAs where the incumbent or the winner lost. That's the three LGAs where the PDP won. What happened? What were the factors that played out in those areas?
Well, the PDP won mostly in Akure. That's Akure South, because he's from here. He's an Akure man. He won in Akure North. He also won in Ifedore. The former PDP chairman of the party in Ondo State is from Ifedore. So I think all those one made it possible for the PDP candidate to win in this local government, in this local government areas. Then the Governor Rotimi Akeredolu won in other local governments. I think he had 25%. You know, of votes in all the local government areas, and this is why he is victorious, and I think that's why this also worked for him, because, like I said, the choice of candidates that he picked worked for him. For the fact that this party is united also worked for him, and we have, you know, let me just say, big politicians who worked for Akeredolu in all these any local government that you get to. We have all these, you know, big politicians who are grassroots politicians. They actually worked for the APC, and that's why we have the result that we have now.
Really, what's the mood of the people in Ondo State now?
Well, there was wide jubilation in Owo. That's the hometown of the governor, and some parts of the state, and some few places too in Akure. But generally in Akure, the atmosphere has been very, very calm. And this is understandable, because the PDP candidate, like I said earlier, that's the Ita Ojagede SAN, is from here. And the people are a little bit disappointed. But they have moved on. They have moved on. Everybody is now on his feet, and they've gone back to their normal businesses. But the atmosphere in Akure has been calm.
All right. Olubukola, just before we let you go, there was this incident that I picked up, and I'm sure several other persons picked up that incident on Saturday while voting was going on. There was a report which turned out to have been a fake report, that the wife of the governor was attacked at a polling station. What was behind that story? What was it meant to achieve?
Well, I wouldn't know, but we did an interview for her, and she debunked the rumor. It was a rumor. I think it was one of the, some of the videos that had been used in the past in Delta State. That was somebody just brought it up on the social media, but there was nothing of such. She was okay. I was there at the polling unit where she voted alongside with the husband. And after voting, she left and she went home. But when the rumor was up, we had to quickly go and interview her, where she said You can see her that she's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. For those who came up with such, I wouldn't know what was in their mind to achieve.
You know, Kingsley, a lot of people, each time we have elections, we hear, well, from Edo now, it's pockets of skirmishes, pocket of skirmishes, pocket of skirmishes. Very soon, these pockets will become, you know, yes.
No,
so
well,
I'm wondering.
Pockets, widespread is not the same thing as pockets. Widespread is more worrisome. Pockets,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Little incident, you know, before you know it, they will evaporate. But there's something that is also significant in this election. I tried to ask everyone that question, and it wasn't there. But Nick, I would like him to take it up, but I want Dr. Bello to speak to this first. We saw it, say, in the 2019 general election, even 2015. One of the priciest documents for an election, it's a security document, is from EC88, that is the result sheet. Result sheet. In one election in the South, during the election, some political bigwigs were moving from polling into polling, demanding to see whether the from EC88 was the original and authentic one or otherwise. We haven't heard that in this election. Whether in Ondo, we didn't also hear it in Edo. Because in the past, that result sheet was where results were written. Aside from the votes actually cast at the polling stations, and therefore making nonsense of the will and wishes of the voters. Are we beginning to get it right?
Yes, we need to commend INEC, and as we stated earlier on, we need to move towards full-fledged adoption of technology for our general election. Mind you, technology has its own downside. We've seen in the US, thank God they are quite civilized. When there was allegations of vote being influenced from Russia and so on and so forth, it was settled at the Congress. That is their parliament. But you know, in Nigeria, if there's a possibility of external influence and the manipulation of election, God forbid, it might lead to violence. So we need to adopt technology and also need to beef up the security when it comes to technology. On the form that you talked about, at the general election then, stakes were quite high. There were a lot of competing gladiators and so on and so forth. So I believe, even if politicians cut away that form, at the polling unit, if the results are uploaded immediately and at the full glare of the agents and the populace, it will make nonsense of what has been taken away by the politician.
Nick?
Yes, I want to align myself with him that with this new portal, you don't have to go fishing, you know, looking for original or fake result sheets. But the point which we have always insisted is that each candidate must appoint agents that are loyal to him at each of the polling units and collection centers, because once the result is entered into the form EC8A, it is endorsed by the agents who are present at that polling unit, and a tier of that result sheet is given to our agent and other agents and the security agencies, and then it is pasted, you know, it's entered into the form 60E and pasted on the wall there. So it is significant and important that candidates always appoint polling agents. And in this election in Ondo, I was looking earlier on at the report by Yaga Africa, and two of the parties, APC and PDP, had agents in all the polling units. So when you have agents there, it means you can collect all the result sheets, you can tabulate them, and arrive at what you have scored or what your opponent has scored. But with the portal now, it is the EC8A that is uploaded in real time. So once you have access to the portal, you can log in and view it for yourself. You don't have to go about checking if a result sheet is fake or not. But I think going forward, and when confidence is invested in the process, we need also to demystify these sensitive materials and the manner in which a lot of money is invested to print them and to escort them. We put the same security features in these sensitive materials as we put in our currency. So you can imagine the kind of amount that is being invested in terms of the quality of the paper, in terms of the security features, and then when you are escorting the resource sheets, you accord the same sense of security with which you escort our currencies. In fact, even the security is even more severe. You know, I recall that when I was in the FCT here, the protocol of escorting sensitive materials from Garki to Area 10 here was more than the security you provide the president. And I was imagining what would happen if there was an accident, because the entire road has to be cleared from Garki to Area 10. And then, you know, on all sides, there's a special unit, you know, that provides that kind of coverage. And I mean, we don't need that, you know, going forward. So we need really to demystify some of these things. In other jurisdictions, like in India, they distribute their sensitive materials through the post office. So
there's something
I think that part of what, Claire, I'm sorry, part of what we will need to do, because instances of election litigation are still very high.
Yes.
Going forward, INEC may then need to also work on the electronic evidentiary value of the results on the portal, because for litigation purposes they will require sometimes from ECATA.
We need to have the laws changed. Once the laws are changed to permit for electronic collation and so on, because the law now insists that you must collate at the polling unit, at the registration area center, at the local government center, at the state center, and at the presidential level manually. But once the law allows us to do that, first of all, it will cut down the red tape. Secondly, it will imbue the process with both transparency. Thirdly, it will make it cheaper, because all these people escorting these sensitive materials from the polling unit to one collection center or the other will not be necessary. All you need to do is to transmit this result that you have uploaded on the portal real time to a server.
Yes.
And then this server tabulates the figures scored by a candidate.
Nick, I have to really stop you, but I just have an observation, and you may not have time to respond. And with due respect to the very erudite professors that you use as your returning officers and all that, sometimes they appear very clumsy in delivering, you know, and we saw that play out in one of the.
We took a census of those that were really clumsy, and we discovered they were insignificant. But part of it is because some of them assume that the process of collation was easy. And then when they come to brass tacks, when the process of doing the collation comes, they discover that they can't get it. So they don't defer to our staff, who are supposed to put them through the process. And when you carry yourself haughtily, it will rear itself, you know, out at the end of the day. But those who humble themselves and learn, you know, they do it very well. Look at what happened in Edo and Ondo. You could see that there was some sense of clarity, some sense of organization. There was no clumsiness. So, but the clumsiness is insignificant. Yes, we have had these challenges, but I think people need to humble themselves and learn the process, and we'll get it over with.
All right, Kingsley.
Yeah, we have some tweets from our viewers as before we wrap up today's program. Abambola and Babs, the election may not have been 100% perfect, but given a level playing field, the country's electoral umpire, INEC, can conduct credible, free and fair elections. Congratulations to the winner. He should open up conversations with those who contested against him for the benefit of the state.
Unisa Idris, the recent elections in Edo and Ondo State show that Nigeria can conduct free and fair elections.
Chris Simeon, democracy is not all about vote buying or money politics. If Nigerians are ready for democracy and want to see the dividends thereof, vote buying and money politics should be abrogated.
Comrade Ngala, Ondo election was more peaceful and credible than that of Edo. The returning governor should carry everyone along irrespective of tribe and religion.
Dele Jack Solomon, truth be told, rather, it's obvious that the incumbent has done something tangible for him to be re-elected. Now that the elections are over, the incumbent should be magnanimous in victory, while the runners-up should join hands with him.
And Mike, Ondo 2020 governorship election, we came, we saw, we conquered. Big congratulations to all stakeholders of this election. No victor, no vanquished. Democracy has come to stay with us. Kudos to all Nigerians.
Mutana Farouk, I commend President Muhammadu Buhari for his sincerity and commitment towards ensuring good governance by strengthening the independence of institutions. INEC, security agencies, the media, and the people of Ondo State and other stakeholders also deserve commendation.
Suleiman Babagana, the just concluded Ondo governorship election is a wake-up call for other political office holders to perform and be retained or show the way out as democracy is taking shape by the day.
Oladimeji Morufu, congrats to Governor Akeredolu. I commend the security operatives. Now, electricity restoration must be of priority by Akeredolu's government to Ondo South Senatorial District. Thank you to Good Morning Nigeria. And
Festus Akiboyewa, Governor Akeredolu's big election victory is a huge endorsement of his performance in the past 4 years. He should now unite Ondo people and focus on areas of deprivation. Kudos must be given to the Peace Committee and traditional rulers in particular.
Lord Alpha C, my joy is that no life was lost in the election, but the allegation that the exercise was witness vote buying is something that is unfortunate in our political development.
And Leo Fadaka, kudos to INEC, security agents, federal government, and the people of Ondo State who keyed into the standard set in Edo State. It's a sign that Nigeria can't get it right and to the next level. Let us all move. We can do better. And indeed, we can do better. Thank you all for your tweets. That's how we end today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you for joining us as always. There'll be an edition tomorrow. I am Claire Delabo Abdurazak.
Well, Claire, just before we sign off, we have to appreciate our guests who've been with us.
Indeed, I'm sorry.
In our conversation segment, Nick Dazank, Director of Voter Education and Publicity of INEC. Nick, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the conduct of the election. Dr. Ismail Bello, Public Affairs Analyst, and also at Bayes University, Abuja. Our appreciation to you.
Thank you very much.
Via Zoom, we were joined from Akure, the Ondo State capital, by Bolaji Salami, Commissioner of Police. Congratulations to you. You have a lot of experience now. You were in Edo. You were also, of course, in charge in Ondo. Next time, I'm sure they will move you to Anambra. And I'm sure ANEC is listening to what you have done. CP Salami, thank you for being with us. And our correspondent, Olubukola Aduo of NTA Akure, would like to thank you for the perspectives and illumination you have provided to our discussion this morning. And last but not least, Ezenwa Nwagu, of course, who was also with us via Zoom. So that does it for us today on Good Morning Nigeria. We're back tomorrow, same time, 7 in the morning. I'm Kingsley Sadolo.
I have signed off. Bye-bye.